On Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a subsidiary of Formosa Plastics is under attack this morning. In just a few hours, a global hunger strike is set to begin at their Point Comfort location. We have why the company is under fire. And another strike happening across the country. The United Auto Workers strike against the Big Three. GM has reached a tentative labor deal with the union that, if approved, would end the weeks-long strike. We have the terms of the agreement. And the Biden administration is fighting anti-Semitism on college campuses with a new plan that teams up with the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and campus law enforcement. We have more straight ahead.
And it's going to be a cool day today and a cold night tonight, but we're going to be heating up going into the weekend. We're going to take a look at that and the weather coming right up.
The game of the week is no shocker to anyone this week. It's East versus West. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Carolina Astrain.
And I'm Parker Cox.
And today it's the 31st day of October 2023. And let's see, it's also National Knock Knock Joke Day. I've got one just for the occasion.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right, knock knock.
Who's there?
Hatch.
Hatch who?
Bless you.
She's getting me with these awful knock-knock jokes.
All right. Well,
that was a good one, actually. That was a good one, actually.
It's kind of fun. Well, you talk about the pollen report. Are we going to be doing?
Yeah, we're going to be hatchooing.
A lot of hatchooing today.
No, we're actually not today, Carolina. The pollen levels are actually quite low. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit. So we're taking a look at that live radar right now. We've got a couple showers out there right now as we speak. One little set of showers coming up here into Yorktown, probably the next 5 minutes or so. But as we zoom out here, all the rest of the showers kind of left or exited our area out east. But like I said, a couple showers out here in the west coming into our area probably the next 5-10 minutes or so. But we're going to be heating up just a little bit today, nothing crazy, maybe a little cool day today, but tonight is actually going to be the cool one. Starting out in the mid to high 40s this morning, going to be heating up into the mid to high 50s this afternoon. You can take a look here, pretty much mid to high 50s for all of our area, but then as that night comes around, we're going to be dropping to the 30s overnight. Can you believe that? Look at that. And so if you have any plants out there, you might want to, or if you have any plants outside, you might want to bring them, might be a good idea to bring them inside so they don't kind of suffer in that cold. Well, if you don't like that cold that's sticking around today, you're like me, you got some good news coming. You got that warm is returning back to us by this weekend. What's going to happen is this high that's going to move down southeast into the Gulf. By late this week, it's going to actually give us back that southerly flow out of the Gulf, and it's actually going to be really strengthened as we got this new low pressure that's going to develop right here in the Colorado Rockies, and that's going to strengthen that southerly flow out of the Gulf, getting us that warm, humid conditions by this weekend. As you take a look at that 7-day, here it is. We're going to be heating up into the 80s this weekend and ahead of next week, with maybe a couple of shower chances returning on Sunday and Monday as that front starts pushing north of us as well. We're going to take a look at those warming temperatures and those rain chances for the rest of the day in just a few more moments. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. We're continuing to follow that shooting in Bloomington last week that left a man in the hospital. We're learning a magistrate judge has dropped the charges against James Norman in connection with the shooting. The charges were dismissed after a hearing with the judge last week. 2 other teens remain charged in the crime. And traffic was backed up on Highway 172 near LaWard yesterday. The highway was actually shut down briefly due to heavy smoke from an oil field storage tank fire. The fire reportedly closed both lanes on 172. That closure happened just after 5:30 in the morning yesterday. It took about 3 hours for crews to extinguish the fire. The highway reopened around 8 a.m. A global hunger strike is set to take place today at Formosa Plastics. It's all to hold a subsidiary of the group accountable. The strike comes after the company's lack of response to an environmental disaster. In 2016, the plant responsible released large amounts of toxic chemicals into the sea, devastating the marine life and the lives of over 179,000 Vietnamese people, many of whom still haven't received compensation despite Formosa paying $500 million to the Vietnamese government. The hunger strike will take place after a press conference in front of Formosa's Point Comfort facility. General Motors has reached a tentative labor deal with the United Auto Workers that, if ratified, will end the 6-week-old strike against Detroit's Big Three. Deals have previously been announced with Ford and Stellantis. Thousands of UAW members walked off the job after the sides failed to reach a collective bargaining deal by a September 14th deadline. The reported 4.5-year contracts, which include a 25% wage increase and an increase in starting wages over $28 to over $28 an hour. The Biden administration unveiled their new plan to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses. As part of the plan, the DOJ and Homeland Security will partner with the campus law enforcement, tracking hate-related rhetoric online and providing federal resources to schools. The White House is also highlighting a change made earlier in the year that makes it clear that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits certain forms of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. As those temperatures continue to drop outside, Midcoast Family Services is asking for your help. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick spoke with the CEO about what's needed.
Hit the crossroads this week. Temperatures have dropped as low as 43 degrees in some areas. Midcoast Family Services helps the less fortunate throughout the year, but their help is crucial during the colder months. The organization's CEO says it's harder these days because the number of homeless and less fortunate people continues to rise.
The biggest challenge has got to be there are more people on the street than there have ever been, and their needs are so great.
The Homeless Coalition of the Golden Crescent found homelessness has doubled since 2018. These numbers make it hard for Midcoast to help. That's where the organization needs the community to step in and donate.
The main thing is just something to wrap up in, and hopefully they can get out of the wind, and the wind chill won't be unbearable if they have some cover.
They are asking for blankets, sleeping bags, and more. For more information, contact Midcoast Family Services at 361-575-7842 or stop by at 2010 North Navarro Suite A. Reporting in Victoria, I'm Adarius McCormick, KAVU-TV, 25 News Now.
Thank you, Adarius. Biden, along with the First Lady, welcomed local public school students and military-connected children to the White House for a not-so-scary event that had more treats than tricks. Children gathered in lines on the South Lawn dressed as their favorite characters to get some sweets. This year's theme was Hallow Read, and it was created by Jill Biden. The White House was decorated with famous literary characters and featured ghoulish tales and a ghost story time for the children, encouraging them to pick out their favorite Halloween book and relish in the spectacular thrill of reading together. With that, let's take a look at your viewer poll this morning. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We ask you, do you plan to dress your pet for Halloween? Okay, let's take a look. 9% of you say yes, I'm right there with you. And we also want to see your pet costume photos, so you can upload those on our website, crossroadstoday.com/vote. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now 6:38 on your Tuesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. Victoria County may make it easier to adopt a pet in 2024.
An Israeli-American woman is now home in the U.S. after being held captive by Hamas for weeks. And another Israeli hostage just released as Israel now refuses calls for a ceasefire with Hamas. I'm ABC's Justin Finch with more from Washington.
And coming up right after the break, we're going to take a look at that school bus forecast, that allergy report, and a couple showers that are going to be sticking around this morning. And that's coming up. Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're waking up with us this morning. You're looking at a live look of North Victoria right there. It's actually quite fair out there this morning, but it is quite cool, rather. 45 degrees is that morning temperature right now in the morning. And with the dew point of 38, they'll bring that humidity to a 76%, which is a little bit normal down here on the coast. And that wind sustained at 13 out of the north. And if you're sending your kiddos off to school this morning, it's supposed to be about 45s or heading out the door with a couple showers in the area. We'll take a look at that radar in just a second. And in the afternoon, those showers will be out of the area probably about noontime, maybe even earlier than that, maybe 10 a.m. Those showers will be out with a temperature in the afternoon about 58 degrees and some partly cloudy skies. We're going to take a look at that radar like I was talking about. A couple showers that actually just passed through here probably about an hour ago, moving east and kind of out of our neck of the woods now. But if you take a look at the zoomed out area, a couple showers coming just through Karn City as we speak, and maybe out here near, I guess it just moved out of Bay City as well. But other than that, pretty clear out there right now. And those showers will be out of the area by noontime. Well, look at that allergy report. If you're like me, I don't like pollen. Trees and grass are non-existent today with that ragweed is low today. And looking at that 7-day, the good news is if you're like me, don't like that cold, we're going to be heating up to the 80s by this weekend with maybe some showers next week as well. We're going to take a look at those those cooling temperatures for your Halloween forecast tonight in just a few more moments. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you so much, Parker. Two crosstown rivals will meet at Memorial Stadium Friday for the game of the week. Sports director Gino Perez has more on the showdown between East versus West.
At Crossroads, the game of the week is one that we've had circled on our calendar since the beginning of the season. That's East versus West. This week has a lot on the line with the results from last week. The East Titans are in second place in the district after a big win over the Veterans Memorial Eagles with a 14-10 score. West, on the other hand, are 4-2 in district and coming off a barn burner loss against the district champion Miller Buccaneers, losing by a narrow 52-45 margin. Now the two victorious schools will battle it out at Memorial Stadium and could have ramifications in the playoffs. If East wins, they will lock up the number 2 spot in the district, but if West wins, there will be a 3-way tie for the runner-up spot in the district. Memorial Stadium will be packed and filled with red, black, white, and gold colors Friday night. Head coach Charlie Reeve of East and Courtney Boyce will meet for the first time in this crosstown rivalry. That's your 25 Sports Now.
Thank you, Gino. Way to go. Titans versus Warriors. It's going to be a good game this week. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Now to new developments in the Israel-Hamas war. Israel rejecting calls for a ceasefire as it steps up air and ground strikes on Hamas militant targets in Gaza. Israel's military also touting the Gaza ground operation says led to an Israeli hostage release as concerns grow about the others Hamas is holding captive.
The Israeli government releasing new video of a heartfelt reunion, showing Israeli military private Ori Megidish now home with her family after clearing a medical examination. The Israel Defense Forces say Megidish was rescued during an IDF ground operation in Gaza, where she was held captive for more than 3 weeks. In Chicago, Israeli-American Natalie Renan has returned home. She and her mother were among the first Hamas hostages freed.
While we're celebrating the return of Natalie back to her home in Chicago, we have to remember that there is still 239 hostages in the hands of Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
On the war front, a relentless exchange of rocket fire between Israel and Hamas. Israel rejecting calls for a ceasefire.
Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas.
The White House supporting Israel, but
what we have said should be considered and explored are temporary localized humanitarian pauses to allow aid.
Across Gaza, civilian suffering. UNICEF reporting more than 400 children in Gaza are killed or injured daily. The Palestinian Red Crescent says 26 more aid trucks crossed into Gaza Monday amid concerns about worsening humanitarian conditions. Meantime, the Pentagon reports Iran-backed militants launched 3 new attacks on U.S. military sites in recent days. No injuries or damage reported. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
It may be easier to adopt a pet in Victoria County in 2024. That's due to a new position opening to oversee pet adoptions. Victoria County Commissioners approved applying for grant money to hire someone for the position at Monday's Commissioners Court meeting. It would promote, conduct, and keep track of all animal adoptions in the county. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller says this new position will be a positive step forward.
If approved, this would hire a full-time individual who would help promote adoptions of our cats and dogs. It's in line with one of our big picture objectives to increase adoptions within the community.
Judge Zeller says that they should know if the county is approved for the grant after the first of the year. The rising number of stray animals roaming the crossroads continues. The crossroads continues to be a problem without an easy solution. Mark Sloat, Director of Animal Services for Victoria County, tells us that his facility only has about 30 places to hold both cats and dogs, but is currently housing over 70 animals. Sloat says educating the public on animal leash laws and adoptions will help lower these numbers.
The biggest thing I can't reiterate enough is people need to keep their pets contained. It's a requirement of city ordinance that they be kept on their property. They have to be behind a fence or on a cable. And even out in the county, you can't let your dogs run. You know, they chase livestock and things like that. We don't want them getting hit by cars. And we wouldn't be full if it wasn't for loose dogs.
If you must give up your pet, instead of abandoning them somewhere isolated, Sloat recommends posting on social media asking for a loving home, or visit the Animal Control Services website for other ways that your pet can be adopted. The time is now 6:48 on your Tuesday morning. Still to come, the FDA is warning people to not buy certain eye drop products.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. Well, we have a Halloween weather poll for you this morning. Let's take a look at what that weather poll is today. Today's weather poll asks, what is the spookiest kind of weather, the scariest kind of weather that you know? Let's take a look. 51% of y'all are saying heavy fog is pretty spooky. None of y'all are saying thunder and lightning is spooky. I thought I'd get you a couple of y'all would say that. 16% of y'all are saying whistling, that howling, whistling wind. And 33%, about a third of y'all, are saying a cloudy full moon, pretty spooky. To vote on today's weather poll, go to crossroadstoday.com/voteweather to participate and see what everybody else thinks is pretty spooky as well. As we take a look at what's going to go on for the rest of today for your Halloween, we're going to take a look at those spooky weather types. We can talk about the fog first because fog was first on that list. Not expecting any fog today or tomorrow as you take a look at the humidity here, or any kind of humidity value that's 95% or higher is considered to be patchy fog and higher than that. So 59%, 50s, maybe upper 40s for those percent today. No fog. It'll actually be drying up quite a bit today. Quite dry today and cold, or actually cool today. Heating up to about in the 50s today, and dry overnight as well, so no fog is expected. Let's take a look at those showers. Any thunderstorms, any lightning or thunder? Nope, no lightning or thunder. Take a look at the radar. There's really like nothing going on out there right now. Maybe a couple showers coming up here in the Karnes cities, but that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the wind. Is it going to be windy today? Maybe a little windy. Sustained winds about maybe 15 miles an hour is the max, with those gusts maxing at maybe 20 to 25. So it is going to be a little windy, but if you take a look at those temperatures, it's going to be cooling down to about probably the 40s overnight tonight as you're going out trick-or-treating. Probably upper 40s, maybe 50 flat in some areas tonight as you're out getting some candy. We're going to take a look at those temperatures and those warming up temperatures coming this weekend in just a few more moments. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. The Food and Drug Administration is warning people not to buy certain eye drop products due to the possible risk of infection that could result in partial vision loss or blindness. The FDA's alert covers 26 over-the-counter eye drop products. They're marketed under the brand CVS Health, Leader, Rugby, Rite Aid, Target, Up and Up, and Velocity Pharma. The FDA says anyone who's already purchased these should stop using them. The agency recommended the manufacturer recall all lots last week. Investigators found unsanitary conditions in the manufacturing facility where critical drug production areas tested positive for bacteria. Several retailers have removed the products from store shelves. The FDA hasn't received reports of eye infection associated with the eye drop products. The Biden administration is urging schools to keep medication on hand that can reverse opioid overdoses. In a letter to educators Monday, White House leaders said every school across the U.S. should stock Noxilin nasal spray, also known as Narcan, and faculty and students should be trained to use it. The missive comes amid a nationwide rise in overdoses among adolescents. Over the past 2 decades, more than 5,000 children and teens have died from overdoses involving fentanyl. That's from the medical journal JAMA Pediatrics. More than half of those occurred during the first 2 years of the COVID pandemic. The FDA approved Narcan for over-the-counter use earlier this year. The manufacturer is lowering the drug's cost to make it more accessible to community groups and local governments. Narcan works by blocking the effects of opioids on the brain and restoring breathing. It has to be given at the first sign of an overdose to be effective. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. You can vote early in Victoria County all this week. election continued Monday. The numbers from the election administrator look like this. 258 people voted in person early Monday. 1,213 people have voted early in Victoria County so far. 40 mail-in votes were received Monday, and a total of 375 mail-in votes have been received so far. You can vote early in Victoria County all this week. The hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. today and tomorrow, and extended hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday. You can vote at the Dr. Petty Dotson Public Health Center. That's at 2005 North Navarro in Classroom A. The Senate is expected to vote today to confirm Jack Lew to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. It's unclear what the margin will be, as many Senate Republicans were critical of Lew over his involvement in a 2015 Iran nuclear deal as Treasury during the Obama administration. After the October 7th terror attack, the White House began working to kickstart the confirmation process. Congressional recesses and other issues had delayed it after President Biden nominated Lew in September. At his confirmation hearing, Lew said that Israel's security is paramount and called Iran a threat to regional stability and Israel's existence. An evacuation order is in place after a brush fire broke out in California in the area of Riverside County Monday afternoon. The blaze, which has been dubbed the Highland Fire, was first reported after 12:30 p.m. and now has spread to cover 500 acres in just over 6 hours after it was first reported. No injuries or structural damages are reported in connection with the fire, but many residents were ordered to vacate their homes. Other areas received evacuation warnings as a result of the fire. Residents under the mandatory evacuation order and warning will be able to take shelter at a nearby high school. The practice of using land for both agriculture and solar power generation is becoming increasingly common in Texas and nationwide. It can mean growing flowers for butterflies and bees, planting food crops around the solar panels, or raising sheep for meat. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. And we have time for a final check of our forecast with Parker. Now, going to that weather pole, Parker, I think fog is the scariest weather out there.
Fog is pretty spooky, Caroline. I will admit that, but I think I might have to say some whistling wind is pretty scary. Well, good morning, folks. If you're all waking up with us right now, or if you're just tuning in, you're looking at a live look at North Victoria here, where it is quite cool this morning. 46 is that morning temperature out there right now, with the dew point 38, bringing that humidity to a 73%, with the 12 mile-an-hour sustained winds out there. We'll take a look at your Halloween forecast for today. We'll be warming up just to starting out in the mid upper 40s today, heating up to probably the mid to high 50s today, just a little bit warming up. But as it starts cooling down overnight tonight, probably about Halloween time, you're trick-or-treating in the upper 40s tonight, but we're going to be cooling down to the 30s overnight tonight, so you might want to bring your plants inside tonight. Well, if you're like me and you don't like that cold weather, it's going to be heating up this weekend as this high is going to return to the Gulf, giving us that southerly flow by this weekend. If you take a look at that 7-day, here it is. 80s are forecasted for this weekend and next week. That's it for weather. You have a terrifying rest of your Tuesday.
Hopefully not too terrifying.
Sure.
Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and join James, Don, Matt, Karina, and Gino today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Happy Halloween.